A sudden plane crash. I missed the optimal rescue time trying to save my husband, Marcus. Yet, he immediately gave the medical resources to another woman. Grace, Amber is a reporter, and she's an old classmate of mine. After she's rescued, she's sure to write a great story about me, and the company will get a good reputation. You're so considerate, you'll surely understand. He watched as I died from internal organ rupture, then turned to repeatedly revise the speech he was about to give, working on his notebook. Later, he indeed became famous as planned, but it was for all the wrong reasons. It was his good classmate, Amber, who publicly revealed the truth, accusing him of intending to kill his wife for her assets, leading to my grave injuries and death. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the wrecked plane and Marcus's relieved face. But this time, he turned and shouted, "Quick! Save my wife first." One seeing's urgency, I thought it was a hallucination. I could still feel the internal pain from my previous life, right before I died. All I remembered was being unable to make a sound from the agony, blood gurgling in my throat. Back then, Marcus had his back to me, fiddling with a pen on his notebook, muttering to himself, "Thank you all for your concern this time. No, thank you for your concern." He was constantly revising the speech he was about to give. Marcus believed Amber would be grateful and report on him with the most heartfelt words. That's why he instructed the medical personnel to treat Amber first. This flight was originally for us to attend an international bid together. If successful, the company would skyrocket. Unfortunately, mid-flight, we encountered a flock of birds, causing the plane to lose control and crash. With a thunderous roar, the plane plummeted into the valley, shattering into pieces. I clutched the chair tightly, shielding Marcus next to me. He was airsick and asleep from the medicine. Despite vomiting blood profusely, I gritted my teeth. And endured the pain of being slammed by various objects. After the crash, survivors came looking for people. Out of over 200 people on the plane, fewer than 10 survived. "Grace, how are you? My left hand hurts so much." Marcus regained consciousness during the impact. I turned my head, wiping the blood from my mouth. At that moment, I felt numb, as if I was immune to pain. "Lady, let us treat you first. You sustained an impact just now, please check his hand first." My first thought at that moment was surprisingly whether Marcus's hand injury was severe. "Madam, your injuries, then help me first, please. My wife looks a bit tired, let her lean back and rest." Marcus covered me with a jacket, then pulled the medical personnel to the other side. I leaned exhaustedly against the plane wreckage. My back and chest felt a burning, tearing sensation. It was as if my internal organs were being churned. After I relaxed, I found even breathing difficult. A faint commotion jolted me. It was Marcus's voice. "My hand isn't a big deal. You should treat her first. She's a reporter, she can't be too badly injured." My eyes fell upon Marcus's back. Opposite him sat a woman with somewhat disheveled hair, her willowy brows slightly furrowed, looking rather pitiable. Marcus." I called out with difficulty, but he didn't hear me. Instead, the woman noticed me. "I'm fine, just some scrapes. Give the treatment time to someone who needs it more." The woman's voice was clear and pleasant. "How can they be minor injuries? Your hand is obviously the most important. Get it treated quickly." Marcus's voice carried a hint of harshness. I paused for a moment, my fingers just touching the laceration on my right cheek, which felt warm with blood. It seemed I'd been cut by something sharp during the plane crash. This was worse than a mere scrape, wasn't it? "Quick! Save my wife first. She's badly hurt." Marcus's voice, as if in a daze, broke through my memories. A medical staff member appeared beside me, quickly administering first aid. "I can only treat the surface wounds for now. This lady appears to have severe internal injuries and needs rescue as soon as possible." Why didn't Marcus save Amber this time? I glanced at Amber, who had a few scrapes on her face not far away. She was the least injured among the survivors. "I've already contacted the rescue team, half an hour at most." "Grace, don't leave me. We'll get rescued in half an hour at most." Marcus looked anxious, his gaze filled with "My heart aches for you." I pressed my lips together, saying nothing. In my previous life, he had his back to me. Even as I vomited blood and was on the brink of death, he didn't turn around, simply lost in his fantasy of impending fame. Grace, talk to me." Marcus's hand trembled as he helped smooth my messy hair. "The wound on your face is so bad, too. What should we do? What else can we do besides stop the bleeding? His trembling voice sounded unreal in my ears. This life, he didn't go to Amber's side. Instead, he made sure I received first aid immediately and even noticed the injury on my face. It was as if everything that happened in my previous life was just a dream. But, was it really just a dream? I found a medical kit over there, can it help? Amber's voice approached from a distance. She stood beside me, holding a medical kit. No, we don't need you here. Before the medical staff could even speak, Marcus's voice suddenly turned cold, directly refusing Amber. Amber's expression faltered slightly. She stared at Marcus for a few seconds, then turned and left. I noticed Marcus's tightly clenched fists. He was trying hard to restrain himself. But he didn't know that the resentment in his eyes had already been observed by me. I sighed inwardly, realizing that my previous life wasn't a dream after all. It just seemed that Marcus had also been reborn this time. His hatred for Amber wasn't well hidden, and I saw it clearly. In my previous life, after I died in agony, the rescue team had just arrived. It was then that Marcus discovered me, curled up, dead, clutching his jacket. I floated in the air, watching his expression shift from suppressed excitement to blank disbelief, and then he wailed and cried, holding my body. Later, the rescue team successfully escorted the remaining survivors to the hospital. Marcus was in low spirits, but when he saw Amber, he still managed a faint smile. It's good that you're okay. My wife wasn't so lucky, she went ahead of me. Amber looked at him thoughtfully, nodded slightly, and was about to leave. My wife originally wanted to prioritize my medical treatment, but I saw you there by chance, and as old classmates, I had the medical staff treat your injuries first. I never thought my wife would end up not receiving timely treatment because of it. When said this, God knows I wanted to laugh at that moment. He had clearly ignored my pain, absorbed in the joy of his impending fame. How did he suddenly pin the blame on Amber? Are you blaming me? No, I mean, regardless, it's true that you brought the medical staff over to treat my injuries. I understand. Amber looked at Marcus meaningfully, then smiled faintly. That's good. Thank you for your trouble. Marcus sighed, but the clear expectation in his eyes made me somewhat silent. At that moment, for the first time, I felt that my efforts for Marcus were worthless, but I never imagined it would come at the cost of my life. Grace, you'll be fine. Marcus gripped my hand tightly, pulling my thoughts back to reality. Lowering my gaze to the hand he held, I felt an unexpected calmness in my heart. Amber's gaze kept drifting towards us, subtle yet persistent. I was sure she had also been reborn. After all, in the previous life, Amber's report caused Marcus to lose all credibility, the company went under, and he was nearly drowned in public scorn. That's right. In my previous life, Amber's report was indeed about Marcus. But unfortunately, she sternly accused him of seeking good publicity by neglecting his critically injured, dying wife, instead showering her with attention. Given that the company was jointly owned by us, if his wife died, the company would. It all led to wild speculation. Plane crash reports are inherently attention-grabbing, and Amber's accusations made the public even more indignant. This report made Amber famous, infamous. Let alone securing the international bid, even local businesses became impossible to run. What use is a person without a reputation? This plane crash not only cost him his wife and his career, but also left him with an indelible, vile label, sacrificing his wife for fame. But after Marcus hit rock bottom, Amber frequently appeared by his side. I saw it all. This woman, Amber, destroyed Marcus, yet she also wanted to possess him. A woman with absolute control, she used extreme methods to ruin someone, then reappeared as a savior. Marcus eventually chose to accept her, but he then took her with him and jumped from the TV station rooftop. And then I returned to the day of the plane crash. I think they returned too. Don't worry, I'm right here. Marcus, seeing me look at him, offered a gentle smile. His gaze was firm. I leaned against him, listening to his heartbeat. If it weren't for what happened in my previous life, I probably would have been moved to tears right then and there, believing him to be my lifelong partner. Unfortunately, this life, I don't want to be with him anymore. This time, I received timely treatment and saved my life. However, the wound on my right cheek was deep, and a scar was unavoidable. During my recovery, Marcus was exceptionally caring, as if he wanted to keep me tied to him all day. The doctors and nurses at the hospital also praised him profusely. Your husband is so good to you. Not like mine, he couldn't even be bothered to come visit me 3 days after my surgery. Brenda, a woman in the hospital room next to me, complained to me. Marcus originally wanted me to stay in a private room, but I refused. I had seen notifications popping up on my phone earlier. The media was very interested in the plane crash, and it was a hot topic. They were already gradually interviewing survivors. According to the schedule, it would soon be Marcus's turn. I picked up my water glass and took a sip. My chapped lips were moisturized, with a slight sting and a metallic taste of blood. Marcus was very successful in this life. After all, his reputation was currently excellent. His public image was that of a devoted man. How are you feeling today? I made some tremella and pear soup, it's not too sweet. Try some. The man himself arrived. Marcus carried an insulated container, his hair slightly damp, and his clothes had some water stains. It was a sunny day, surprisingly, for I watched as he ladled out the tremella soup for me, thoughtfully checking its temperature. Young man, you're so good to your wife. Brenda, I'm so envious. Brenda couldn't help but exclaim. Brenda, you just said she's my wife, so of course I'll be extra caring. Marcus chuckled, his joy impossible to hide. Grace, this time, we've turned misfortune into a blessing. The company has secured several major clients one after another, all thanks to the plane crash incident. Reporters will probably come for an interview tomorrow. Is that okay for you? No, on second thought, let them come directly to the company. We shouldn't disturb your recovery. No wonder he seemed especially happy today. The TV station is coming? So I can be on TV too? I don't mind, dear. Brenda, nearby, was even more excited than I was. In that case, coming here tomorrow is fine. I finished the tremella soup, my voice soft. Don't worry, it won't be long. We can't disturb my wife's rest for too long. Marcus gently patted my hand. I knew his mind was already on tomorrow's TV interview. In this scene that appeared so heartwarming to others, Marcus and I were each lost in our own thoughts. It was quite tragic, thinking about it. Marcus arrived early the next morning, carrying breakfast and fruit. It was time for my dressing change. Even after being stitched, the 6-centimeter-long wound on my face was horrifyingly gruesome. A person's face is only so big. This scar, running from the left side of my nasal bridge down to the corner of my mouth, had even distorted my face after being sutured. This was the first time I saw my injured face. It felt like a sharp sword piercing my heart. No woman could accept her face looking like this, no matter how strong-willed she was. Such a visibly terrifying injury, and this was even after stitching. My mangled appearance in my previous life must have been even more frightening, right? Yet, Marcus had still neglected me and turned to help Amber instead. Is it time for the dressing change already? Marcus stared at my wound, lost in thought. What's wrong? Is it ugly? I tried to smile, but facial movements were difficult now. Let me see it properly. My heart aches for you. Marcus stopped the nurse from continuing to treat me, instead asking her to go help Brenda on the next bed change her dressing. In his eyes, I saw my own face, pale and weak, marred by ugly stitches. Even though I had looked in the mirror myself before, seeing my face through his gaze still made my heart ache with a convulsive pain. Sure enough, there were some things I couldn't wait for anymore. Let me bandage her wound first. Here, the TV station is here. Someone suddenly shouted from outside the door. Marcus sprang to his feet, turning his head towards the entrance. But he seemed to remember something. He only took a few steps, just enough to block the nurse who was about to rebandage me. In those few seconds, the TV station crew had already entered the hospital room. The was pointed directly at my face, showing my gruesome, terrifying wound and my ghostly pale appearance in the lens. This plain cause. Mr. Marcus's unwavering devotion to his wife. The opening remarks flew by quickly, and the reporter. It was Amber. 5. She seemed afraid others wouldn't see my current terrifying appearance, directing the camera to point practically at my face. Let me get through first. The nurse, somewhat annoyed, squeezed past and efficiently changed my bandages. Honestly, shoving a camera in someone's face. Where's the common courtesy? Before leaving, the nurse shot Marcus a resentful glare. Watching him, my resolve to leave became even more urgent. Even given a second chance, Marcus still used me to the fullest, though this time he gained a good reputation. It turned out I was right not to hold out hope for him this time around. Are you tired? Get some rest. I'll see the TV station crew out. Marcus adjusted my bed to make me more comfortable. I closed my eyes. Go on, see the TV station crew out, see Amber out. That night, I saw myself on the news. Under the camera's high-definition lens, my appearance was unbearable. Compared to Amber, who was speaking eloquently beside me, I felt like a vengeful ghost. I also noticed that when Marcus and Amber interacted, their eyes occasionally met, hinting at an unspoken affection. I thought that since Marcus hated Amber so much in our previous life, he wouldn't have anything to do with her again. But now, it seemed I was wrong. Both my parents passed away early. 2 years ago, his parents also died in a car accident. The two of us were all each other had. I thought we were like 2 nylon ropes wrapped around a 1,000-pound weight. If one broke, the other would quickly snap as well. I believed we would support each other for life. So I was always very considerate, but I never expected my thoughtfulness and considerate nature would become my fatal flaw. Grace, this interview was a great success. I might be a bit busy for the next few days, but I've hired the best nurse to take care of you. You must recover well. Love you. I receive. D. Marcus's message at 9 that night. I stared at the chat box, unable to snap out of my daze for a long time. The company was built by the two of us, so I knew exactly what was going on. Sure enough, the next second, Sarah sent me a message. Grace, were you interviewed today? Your injuries are so severe, you must recover well. We're waiting for you to come back. Oh, by the way, Mr. Duan just took the TV station reporter into the office. The accompanying photos made my fingers involuntarily clench the blanket. How busy must he be to take a reporter into the office at 9 in the evening? And the reporter was Amber. After much thought, I still dialed a number. Hello? Uncle, I'll take your advice. This time, when I leave, I won't be coming back. This life, I'll live a more exciting one alone than with Marcus. At least I won't be manipulated by him like this. Thinking about everything from before, it was horrifying to realize that in my previous life, at the brink of death, I finally understood that I wasn't that important in Marcus's heart. 6. The nurse, Brenda, was very enthusiastic and efficient. Miss, it's only been a week. Are you sure you want to be discharged? This past week, Marcus only visited the hospital twice, each time for less than half an hour. Grace, this period is absolutely a turning point for the company. If we can seize it, we can just lie in bed counting money for the rest of our lives. Grace, just thinking about you and I living better lives makes me not feel tired. Grace, you're so considerate, you'll surely understand me. Once you've recovered, I'll put the company matters aside, and we'll enjoy our time together. He spoke earnestly every time, yet left without a backward glance every time. Just as well, I had enough time for all my documents to be prepared, and Uncle was already waiting for me outside. Sister, there are still 3 days left for the nurse's service. Just tell them I've recovered well at the hospital. I'll pay you extra for this period, so please go home and spend time with your child. Don't worry about me. The nurse, Brenda's son, had been sick recently, and she hadn't had time to go home. Hearing me say this, she wavered a little. It's fine, I'll talk to Marcus about it. I put on my mask, and my clothes were changed. Oh, well, thank you, Mississippi. I'll see you out. The nurse, Brenda, began to pack up other things for me. No need, you can keep whatever is useful here for Brenda. I glanced at the supplements and massage equipment Marcus had sent, they were all high-end. But things given by a heartless person, I might as well not want them. Well then, thank you, dear. Young people recover so quickly. Brenda from the next bed grinned and thanked me. I said goodbye to the nurse, Brenda, at the hospital entrance. Uncle was already waiting for me nearby. Miss, everything is ready. Uncle nodded at me. For a moment, I felt a bit weak. Having not been out of bed for days, walking this much today brought an indescribable fatigue. Be careful. Oh, your body's a bit frail. We'll definitely get you properly nursed back to health once we're back. Uncle quickly helped me, then had me sit in the car. Even after leaving the hospital, my phone remained silent. It was as if Marcus had completely forgotten about me. 3 days later, the nurse, Brenda's, call suddenly came in. By then, I was far away at the estate abroad, with a pile of documents waiting for me to handle. I would never have imagined that the parents who raised me for 24 years were not my biological parents. They were just gardeners on my biological parents' the estate. I was taken by that gardener couple because their own son was caught stealing by my parents and, feeling disgraced, committed suicide right there on the estate. Thus, I suffered undeserved misfortune. I was taken back to the country by the Gardner couple before I was 3. No wonder I always felt my parents didn't love me, even though I was their only child. They would often hit and scold me, always saying that once I turned 18, I would prove my usefulness. However, I proved myself capable. I was quite independent and made plans for myself early on. The only variable was Marcus. 7. I met him in college. At that time, my adoptive parents were forcing me to drop out and follow their arrangements. Only now do I understand that turning 18 meant they wanted me to arrange marriage for their deceased son. Fortunately, I went straight to college, supporting myself and earning my own tuition, with no intention of returning to follow my adoptive parents' plans. That's why Marcus helped me several times later, and it was then that I gradually developed different feelings for him. After I confirmed my feelings, even during the difficult startup period, I never thought we would separate. To this day, without having experienced the plane crash, I don't know what I would have become, but the one thing I'm sure of is that I would have become Marcus's stepping stone to success. Miss, I can't handle this here, Marcus's Grace. You said you wouldn't leave me. Marcus's roar suddenly came through the phone, jolting me awake from my past memories. Oh right, I've already died once. I shouldn't dwell on the past. Ensuring my own comfort and well-being now is what matters most. I don't believe you would betray me. Marcus's voice sounded pained. I was a bit puzzled. How was I betraying him? Are you really willing to run off with an old man and just abandon me like this? I'm clearly working hard for our future. I received some messages. It turned out to be a few photos, featuring Uncle and me, showing him picking me up at the hospital entrance and briefly supporting me. But the angle of the photos was so deceptive, making it look completely like I was eagerly throwing myself into his arms. With this kind of tactic, I think I know who took them. You're just going to believe these few photos and assume I ran off with an old man? He couldn't possibly not know what kind of person I am. His questioning me now is just an attempt to find an excuse for his own changed feelings. Grace, we've been through so much hardship together, and the company is flourishing. Are you sure you want to abandon me? Marcus's tone was filled with disbelief. If I didn't have that stack of photos of him and Amber, I might have actually believed him. The moment I went abroad, I sent someone to keep an eye on Marcus. I never expected that while I was still in the hospital, Marcus and Amber were already intimately involved. Their love-hate relationship from the previous life had surprisingly become inseparable, especially since Marcus hadn't even thought of me, his official girlfriend, for the past few days since I left. Marcus, you don't need to brand me with an ugly name. Even with my injuries and disfigurement, as my boyfriend, you could be so dismissive and absent. You should first reflect on whether you've done anything wrong to me. I paused. But there's no need for explanations now. After all, we've already broken up. I looked at the empty album on my phone. Every trace of him was gone in less than half an hour. For a moment, I felt disoriented. Grace, you're just mad and throwing a tantrum, right? I've almost got the company affairs settled recently, and I won't pursue your relationship with that old man. I'll wait for you at home. I want to eat my favorite homemade meal. Marcus suddenly softened his voice, just like he used to whisper I love you in my ear day and night. No need. Compared to my favorite homemade meal, Amber's feet probably taste better, don't they? I scoffed and hung up the phone directly. I have no idea how these detectives managed it, getting such private photos. The next period was a chaotic whirlwind for me. If my adoptive parents hadn't died so early, I probably wouldn't have met my biological parents in this life. It was just those two, wanting everything and being too greedy, which made them suspicious and led to my whereabouts being traced. For my facial injuries, my parents enlisted the top medical team to conduct specialized research for me, resulting in a complete transformation. It was like shedding a layer of mud and revealing a more beautiful side. I twirled the pen in my hand, drawing a circle around the company's address. What's mine, is mine. 8. Miss, this time, when you return to the country, you should stay at the hotel your mother arranged. Uncle carried my suitcase. He had been a butler for nobles for 30 years, and his aura was completely different from an ordinary person's. I adjusted my sunglasses. What a coincidence, wasn't it? Wasn't this hotel where Marcus and Amber were getting married? My mother must have known about Marcus and me, which is why she had me return to handle some business at this time. Uncle can handle the arrangements. I nodded gently. In just 2 months, I had been completely reborn, my demeanor elegant and composed. I no longer had to worry about others' critical eyes judging whether what I did was perfect or not. As for the company Marcus and I had established earlier, after I left, Marcus directly erased my existence and then let Amber familiarize herself with the company. Although a few of my Sarahs were upset on my behalf, they persevered, simply because I said I would come back to reclaim what was mine. So they willingly became my informants. The things I had collected about Marcus were enough to make him serve hard time. As a reporter, Amber naturally had more questionable methods. Rather than worrying about being disgraced, she should probably be more concerned about whether she could keep her life. After all, so many enemies showing up at once was no joke. So I deliberately chose their wedding day to send them a big gift. Isn't it laughable? Marcus and I were together for 7 years, yet it couldn't compare to him marrying Amber after just 2 or 3 months. There's a wedding, Todd. Let's see how strong their destinies are. I looked at Marcus and Amber's wedding photos, leaning on each other in the reception hall. Even though her wedding dress was a looser style, I could tell Amber's belly was already showing. I'd like to thank all the guests for attending, Mr. Marcus, and the MC spoke eloquently, but just as he was about to ask the bride if she consented, I directly smashed a wine glass at Amber's feet. The lights illuminated me as I slowly took off my sunglasses. I object. My red lips parted slightly, and my voice made Marcus's eyes widen. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Grace? Is that really you, Grace? My voice hadn't changed, but my face was completely transformed compared to before. Amber's white wedding dress was stained with red wine from the glass I'd thrown. How dare you show up again, after abandoning the devoted man? You actually have the nerve to come back on his wedding day. Amber glared at me, her words causing a commotion among the curious onlookers. Just like a reporter, husband with just a few words. But are you really so pure yourself? Some reporters will do anything to get useful information. On the hotel's large screen, the sweet wedding photos suddenly switched to intimate ones. Of course, I thoughtfully blurred out sensitive parts, only revealing Amber's face. Immediately, Marcus's face turned as green as a turtle that had been dead for 3 days. Especially as his gaze fell on Amber's belly, the unspoken meaning in his eyes was crystal clear. Marcus, my feelings for you are genuine. So you're not denying that these things happened before? I smiled, hitting the nail on the head. Marcus's face was ashen as he stared intently at me. Grace, you already broke up with me. Why do you have to make things so ugly now? And you haven't denied that you ran off with an old man while we were still together, have you? I just calmly looked at him. This man I once loved so deeply, the man I willingly sacrificed for, was now protecting another woman, the very woman who had ruined him and driven him to his death in my previous life. Then I wish the child in her belly is truly yours. I smiled brightly. Amber's face subtly changed, and she nervously touched her belly. At that moment, a group of menacing men suddenly stormed in, their eyes scanning the room before fixing on Amber's face. That bitch tricked information out of our boss and harmed him. A crowd of people surged forward, and the scene descended into chaos. Marcus was stunned by what was happening before his eyes. He only realized later that Amber was extremely ambitious and would use any means necessary to dig up news for her reports. And her body was her greatest asset. I had simply leaked a bit of information about Amber's disguised appearance. And now a whole group of people had come knocking, which showed how many enemies she had made over time. When a pot-bellied man roared and threw a stack of prenatal checkup reports in Amber's face, Marcus completely broke down. Grace, you knew all along, didn't you? If you couldn't let go of me, why didn't you come back sooner? Why show up only now? She seduced me. I just made a small mistake that any man would make. Marcus suddenly rushed forward, trying to grab my hand. You don't need to drag all men down with you. Devoted man. I scoffed, swiftly dodging his hand. He had forgotten he was still the groom at this wedding reception, the groom's boutonniere. And no, I didn't come back because I couldn't let go of you. After all, I said I'd take back what's mine. The moment I finished speaking, Marcus's phone rang. He was trying to deal with Amber while answering the call. Finally, his phone was accidentally knocked to the floor by Amber and put on speaker. Marcus, are you insane? Financial scam? Where do you put the rest of us? Without, you're nothing. I recognized that voice. It was Frank, one of the shareholders and a former technical executive. Before, I had always learned from him at the company. Marcus found technical positions time-consuming, so he never paid any attention to that side of things. Now I'm telling you, the company is already trapped. Forget about getting money out, you can't even pay the employees' salaries. And you even swallowed Grace's share. Marcus's face turned ashen, and the look he gave me was full of remorse, as if he felt disgraced by having his shameful act exposed publicly. I didn't care at all. It was true that we had loved each other once, but unfortunately, he always wanted something better, not to share with me, but to possess it for himself. Oh, isn't that the young man I met at the hospital after the plane crash? You're getting married? I was next door attending a reception and heard all the commotion, so I came to check it out. Brenda, who suddenly pushed her way through the crowd, yelled out, making me turn my attention to her. Hey, why isn't the bride the girl from the hospital? Isn't the one in the wedding dress the reporter who came for the interview that day? Brenda looked completely baffled. The day the girl was discharged, her uncle came to pick her up. You weren't a very good boyfriend, you didn't even come to the hospital to be with her after the interview. She was so severely injured, and her face was hurt too. How heartbroken she must have been. No wonder she secretly discharged herself early without telling you. I watched Marcus's face change continuously. Finally, he suddenly knelt before me with a thud. I'm sorry, Grace. I shouldn't have believed what Amber said, thinking you shamelessly ran off with an old man. I immediately stepped aside. Amber, like a cannonball, was bumped into Marcus by others. I only heard Marcus scream, then saw Amber's high heel firmly impaled on the back of Marcus's right hand. I slipped away amidst the chaos of this farce. It wasn't in vain that I bribed some hotel staff to use their computer. Otherwise, how could such a spectacular scene have been directly played on the large screen? 3 days later, Uncle and I appeared at the company. Frank was already waiting for me there. Marcus, looking haggard and with his right hand in a sling, was talking to Frank about something. Well, speak of the devil, our new boss has arrived, hasn't she? Frank's playful voice rang out. Uncle walked ahead of me, and I was 2 steps behind him. You're not the one. Ms. Yen. You're finally here. With company back in your hands, I can really relax and go to the Maldives now. Frank cheerfully greeted me. When I appeared before Marcus, seeing me emerge from behind Uncle, he stared at me blankly like an idiot, his face filled with shock. As for Amber, regarding that incident at the hotel wedding, the mob directly beat her severely. Later, it was revealed that she had repeatedly exploited personal privacy and engaged in illicit profiteering involving massive sums of money. Before she could even be sentenced, Amber jumped from the TV station rooftop. Her death was exactly the same as in my previous life. Unfortunately, this time she was alone. No, wait, she took the baby in her womb with her. Surprised? I raised an eyebrow, looking at Marcus's stunned expression. The company office was on the top floor, the 33rd. Marcus and I had decided to rent it back then because the rent was cheap. Now, exactly 3 years later, the lease was up. Grace, can you give me one more chance? I promise I'll listen to you this time. Marcus's eyes were full of me. It was the first time he had ever humbled himself and pleaded with me. But I had already died once. My heart had died in my previous life. I couldn't reconcile with the tragic death I suffered in my previous life. Grace, are you really so heartless? Do you believe I'll jump from here? And you won't get the company either. Perhaps seeing no reaction from me, Marcus suddenly became agitated and rushed to the ventilation window. I was somewhat exasperated by his ridiculous move. Uncle watched Marcus with a blank expression, while Frank simply turned his head away, refusing to look at him. Only stared at me expectantly. Marcus, do you know something? I quickly took a few steps closer to him. Amber jumped from the TV station rooftop. Marcus shook his head indifferently. I don't care about women like that. Did you hear what I just said, but wasn't it you who jumped with her in my previous life? I interrupted him. Marcus was like a duck with its neck choked, strange sounds squeezed from his throat, and the look in his eyes was a mix of terror and regret. Finally, the security guards dragged Marcus out like a dead weight. In my previous life, consumed by rage, he was able to pull Amber with him when he jumped. This time, he was alone, and he suddenly lost his nerve. Naturally, a good life wouldn't be waiting for him. All right, back to business. Starting today, I am taking over as the head of the company. This afternoon, the finance department will arrange to process everyone's salaries. As an apology, you'll all receive an extra month's pay. I clapped my hands, drawing everyone else's attention to myself. As my words fell, The entire floor erupted in cheers. Marcus, did you hear that? The ultimate victor is me. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.